Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 71, Entering the Church of Light. The reputation of the Church of Light was very difficult to obtain, and he could only obtain it by completing church missions. In the current Church of Light, there were NPCs distributing harvesting missions. The materials that the players could collect could be exchanged for the reputation points of the Church of Light. To the top players of the guilds, this was the best opportunity. One had to know that the Church of Light had the most powerful hidden classes Light Knight, and even Light Angel. Therefore, the current Church of Light was filled with players. Everyone wanted to accept this mission. Leader, I finally see you. Super Rich immediately rushed to Lorne's side. When he saw the level displayed above his head, he was immediately shocked. My goodness, leader, your leveling speed is too fast. I saw on my friend list that you were still level 10, but in just a few minutes, you directly reached level 20. This leveling speed is too terrifying. I'm not even in the rankings, there's nothing impressive about it. Lorne shook his head and smiled, then looked at the packed square. He asked, are you going in to accept a mission? That's right. Although there are many people here, I have a way to save time. Super Rich walked towards the crowd confidently and said, Leader, you can follow me later. With that, Super Rich patted the players in front of him who were queuing up. What's the matter? The player looked at him strangely. At this moment, Super Rich took out a money bag and said, Brother, I want to buy your spot. Hearing this, the player weighed the money bag and found that there were actually 10 silver coins inside. He immediately smiled and gave up his spot, walking behind Lorne. As a result, there was one less person in front of Lorne. Leader, with this, we can go in to receive the mission in at most 10 minutes. Super Rich smiled happily at Lorne. Then, this super rich man took out dozens of small money bags from his bag and began doing the same thing. Although 10 silver coins was not much, to ordinary people, it was equivalent to 500 alliance dollars. The price of obtaining it was simply moving back by 2 spots. It was too easy of a choice. Wait a minute, you're wasting money. Lorne pulled at Super Rich, who was about to give him the money bag. However, the latter looked at him uncomprehendingly and said, No, there are only a few thousand people in front. It won't cost much. It's just that there aren't enough gold coins. It's too difficult to purchase gold coins on the market. Most of them have been taken away by the people from the large financial groups. Lorne was speechless. Put the money away. I'll bring you in. No way, leader. How are you going to get in? Super Rich looked at him questioningly, then whispered beside him, Leader, if we cut in line here, we'll be beaten up by the others. We might even be arrested by the city guards and sent to jail. Let's spend money to go in. Is there a need to spend money with me around? The corners of Lorne's mouth curled up. Don't worry about anything else. I'll bring you in. Just follow behind me. Oh, okay. Super Rich frowned and followed behind Lorne. To be honest, he suspected that it would not be successful. After all, he had been watching others squeeze here for an entire day, and there was still no one who could cut the queue. Other than queuing and spending money to speed up the queue, there was basically no other way. As he thought this, after a short exchange with Lorne, a city guard maintaining the order quickly entered the church. Then, not long after, the crowd in front suddenly became restless. A team of knights walked out of the church. Everyone was separated, making way for them. Then, a beautiful priestess in a holy robe walked out. Under the gaze of all the players, she walked straight up to Lorne and smiled, Young adventurer, we meet again. Yeah, nice to see you again. Lorne nodded. The high-level NPC in front of him was the light priestess Aisha, who had interacted with him in the beginner village. He did not expect to see her here again after leaving the beginner village. I have received a message from the dragon god and have come to welcome you. The adventurer who was invited by the dragon god was already qualified to receive her respect. Then, she looked at Super Rich, who was beside Lorne, and asked, "Who is this?" "This is my friend. He also wants to contribute to the Church of Light." "I see. Please follow me." Priestess Aisha gracefully turned and led the two into the church. A few seconds after they disappeared from view, the entire frozen square suddenly erupted with a bang. Damn! The surrounding players were dumbfounded. After queuing for hours, they finally arrived at the church. However, look at this tyrant. He had only just arrived at this place, but there was actually a super beautiful priestess welcoming him. They were both players, but the difference in treatment was too great. At the same time, looking at the extremely holy and beautiful NPC in front of him, even Super Rich was stunned. Oh heavens, the leader's methods were truly unbelievable. He really brought them into the Church of Light. Not only that, but the leader even had such a noble priestess NPC welcome him. Was this something a player could do? It was too amazing. Fortunately, I chose to believe in the leader. Super Rich nodded to himself and made up his mind. In the future, he had to follow this leader with all his heart. Not to mention what would happen in the future, just the scene in front of him and the scene of him going on a full server announcement previously was very comfortable. Soon, the few of them arrived inside the Church of Light. The Church of Light was different from other professional shrines. Ordinary players could not enter. Everyone only looked for NPCs to accept missions outside. Therefore, the Church of Light did not have any external noise, only incomparable holiness and peace. Don't wander around. In this hall, try to find as many NPCs as possible to converse. After organizing your words, it's up to you how many missions you can trigger. Lorne instructed Super Rich. Although this super tycoon was clumsy when playing games, how could someone with such a net worth in reality not have interpersonal skills? He believed that with his cunningness, he would definitely be able to obtain a lot of benefits in this temple. As for Lorne himself, he was about to meet the Dragon of Light, hoping to obtain enough rewards from this generous dragon. Chapter 72, The Test from the Dragon of Light. When they neared the core region of the church, even Aisha could not set foot there. Lorne walked alone through the long corridor. In the end, he arrived in an extremely huge hall. What appeared before him was a huge hall with a radius of several hundred meters. It was like a square. There was nothing around them, only white stone pillars and pale golden flowers. As he surveyed his surroundings, the space in the hall suddenly distorted, and then a grand light shone. In the gentle light, countless holy light feathers fell. Then, huge holy dragon wings flapped, and an incomparably huge dragon descended in the hall. Young adventurer, your growth is much faster than I imagined. The Dragon of Light looked at Lorne with its golden eyes and said solemnly, however, this is not enough to control the power of the divine radiance. Please enlighten me, Dragon God. Lorne said respectfully. Although he was invincible among the players, in front of this Dragon of Light, such a level was nothing to be proud of. The Dragon of Light looked at him in satisfaction and asked, young man, do you know the true origin of the divine radiance? Where did the divine radiance come from? Lorne was just a new player who had just entered the game. How could he know the origins of such a high-level power? As such, he shook his head. The divine radiance is the origin power left behind by the divine dragon of order before it sacrifices itself. If we can master all its energy, it will be equivalent to possessing the supreme power of the divine dragon of order. However, after countless years, this power of origin gradually dissipated, and it was shattered one after another by huge battles, causing this power to gradually lose its original divine power. Fortunately, the first Dragon of Light figured out a way to preserve the divine radiance and gradually nourish it. That is to use faith. The power of faith produced by the billions of creatures of the Order faction is the best nourishment for the divine radiance. It can maintain the divine radiance for countless years and even make up for a portion of its deficiency. This is also the reason why the Church of Light was born. Today, the divine radiance has gradually grown stronger, but unfortunately, in this day and age, no one can control this power anymore. The Dragon of Light has always been the one with the greatest hope of controlling it, but over the years, no one has really done this. Therefore, I have to look for other users. The Dragon of Light explained the situation. Finally, its gaze refocused on Lorne, and it asked him in an authoritative voice, "Young adventurer, are you willing to accept this challenge?" As soon as he finished speaking, at the same time, a warning system notification sounded. Ding! Game announcement, your answer will affect the Dragon of Light's opinion of you. Please answer cautiously. This was a multiple-choice question? That was not right. This should be a freebie question. Any normal gamer should know what to choose. From the Dragon of Light's words, it was obvious that he wanted to pass on the most powerful strength in the world to him. How could he refuse such a good thing? Lorne answered decisively, "I will master the divine radiance and purify the entire divine realm." Forget about the difficulty for now, he had to make his stand clear on such a matter. Only then could he obtain the most rewards. "Young man, you did not disappoint me. Although you are very weak now, you have a fearless heart. In that case, I will issue you the most difficult mission. I hope you can withstand my test." The Dragon of Light looked at Lorne in relief. The next second, the system's voice sounded again. Ding! Congratulations! The Dragon of Light appreciates your attitude. You have received a gift from the Dragon of Light, Dragon of Light's Affinity +10, Dragon Race of Order Reputation +100. Congratulations! Your epic mission Divine Radiance Prelude has been completed. Reward, Reputation +100,000, Dragon Race of Order Reputation +100. Congratulations! Your epic mission Divine Radiance, 1, has begun. A series of notifications appeared. The reward excited Lorne. In just a short while, his reputation with the Dragon Race of Order increased by 200 points. Not only that, but he also gained 100,000 reputation points. Of course, most importantly, it was the Dragon of Light's affinity. It was one of the most powerful existences in the world. With its good impression, he would definitely have a chance to come into contact with more high-level missions in the future. Other than these rewards, the Divine Radiance mission that Lorne had also changed. Divine Radiance, 1. Quality, Epic. Content, the Dragon of Light, Haymet, believes that you have the potential to inherit the Divine Radiance, so he has decided to give you the most stringent test. You must go to the ruins of the war to search for the Dragon Souls and bring back 5 Dragon Souls to the Dragon of Light. The more Dragon Souls you bring back, the more generous the reward will be. War Ruins? Dragon Soul? This seemed to be another difficult task. Lorne had a very clear feeling. At this moment, the Dragon of Light also began to narrate. It was a huge mountain range. It was originally the best place, but in the war 1,000 years ago, it was covered by the flames of war between order and chaos and became a lifeless forest. Almost all races gathered together, including humans, elves, orcs, giants, dragons, abyssal demons, undead, and abyssal lords. They began an intense war that lasted for several years. The warriors of the Order faction used their lives to defend the peace of the Empire. Their blood has stained the entire mountain range, and their bones have propped up the towering mountains. They have brought peace and stability to us. But unfortunately, countless demons and undead from the abyss died there. Their bodies were the source of the chaos. Dark blood corroded the mountain range, and the aura of the undead covered the entire forest. The souls of the dead soldiers were also imprisoned in the ruins. They were once the most glorious warriors of the Empire. I hope that they can rest in peace in their homeland, so I hope that you can bring back the souls of some dragons and let them be free under the holy light to be reincarnated. Chapter 73, Triggering a Large Event Mission. Please leave the mission to me, Great Dragon God. I will definitely bring back enough dragon souls. Lorne replied firmly. Very good. The Dragon of Light nodded and continued, however, to find the dragon souls in the incomparably vast forest, you still need some help. With that, 2 rays of light entered Lorne's body. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the mission tool, Dragon Soul Compass. Congratulations on obtaining the mission tool, Dragon's Treasure Vault. Dragon Soul Compass, Mission Item. Grade, Legendary. Introduction, a special treasure of the dragon race. It can be used to discover the dragon souls of nearby existences. Dragon's Treasure Vault, Mission Item. Grade, Legendary. Introduction, carrying this treasure, you can obtain a cubic space of 1000 x 1000 x 1000 units. 2 legendary treasures. Lorne was dazzled. Both items were priceless. The Dragon Soul Compass's function was to search for the location of the dragon souls. Although it was a mission-specific tool, it had a legendary quality and was still very expensive. As for the second Dragon's Treasure Vault, its value was even more inestimable. After reaching level 20, an ordinary player only had 100 slots in their space. Moreover, they could only carry small items and materials. The Dragon's Treasure Vault had a space of 1 billion cubic meters that could contain almost anything one wanted. If not for the fact that it was a mission item, Lorne would have even wanted to keep it for himself. Wait. Why did the Dragon of Light give me this storage item? Again, Lorne was confused. Was the dragon soul as large as the dragon? At this moment, the Dragon of Light said, the body of a dragon is extremely strong. Perhaps when you find the soul of a dragon, you can still encounter the corpses of the dragons. If you can really encounter them, please use this Dragon's Treasure Vault to transport the corpses back. At that time, I will give you enough rewards. So it was an additional mission. However, this mission target made Lorne's eyes widen. He had a monster merging simulator. If he really found the corpse of the giant dragon, could he use those corpses as materials to create an invincible bone dragon? Gulp. Lorne swallowed. To be honest, he was shocked by his bold idea. Using the corpse of a dragon to create a monster was a crazy idea. In addition, there are 2 other things I need to remind you of. The Dragon of Light looked at Lorne and continued, firstly, because there is a large amount of dark power left in the ruins of the war, before you enter that area, you must bring the Purification crystal created by the Blacksmith Guild or the Antidote refined by the Alchemist Association. Without these tools, as a human, you will be invaded by the power of darkness as you enter the dangerous forest. It will affect your combat strength and taint you with the power of darkness. At that time, it will be extremely troublesome to clean up. There was poison in the ruins of the war? Upon hearing this news, Lorne fell into deep thought. There was also an immature thought in his mind. At this moment, the Dragon of Light continued to give warnings. Secondly, the demons of the abyss have been lingering in that area. I'm afraid that you will be affected by them. Therefore, I plan to send more people into the ruins, hoping that they can help you confuse the demons of the abyss. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly, a grand voice echoed through the entire Iron Skull City. Ding! Iron Skull City announcement, due to the unprecedented war 1000 years ago, countless soldiers of the Empire fell in the ruins of the war. The Dragon of Light hopes that their souls can be released and their corpses can be rested in their homeland. It has specially issued an event mission to all the players of Iron Skull City. May the dead rest in peace. Mission description: all players who have reached level 20 can receive a crusade mission in the Church of Light. Head to the ruins of the war and find the remains of the Empire's soldiers. Bury them in the Empire Cemetery. You will obtain the reputation of the Order faction from this. Ding! Ding! The grand announcement sounded 3 times. All the Iron Skull City players heard this news. Instantly, the entire main city was in an uproar. This was clearly an extremely rare event mission. Moreover, unlike other missions, this mission had no restrictions. As long as one could bring back enough corpses, they would obtain an incomparably crazy reward. Most importantly, the reward for this mission was actually the reputation of the Order faction. Reputation was an extremely rare thing. Before this, only by killing the boss and completing missions would one obtain 200 reputation points. Even before Lorne left the beginner village, his reputation points had only been around 3,500 points. Now, there was actually a mission. As long as one found enough corpses, they could obtain the corresponding reputation, and there was no upper limit. This was simply a mission tailored for a large guild. It was because they had enough people. The more people there were in such exploratory missions, the greater the reward would be. Furthermore, those large guilds used tens of thousands of people to accumulate the strength of a few top players. Therefore, such a special event mission was completely a chance for the guild leaders to increase their strength. It was no wonder that as soon as this mission appeared, the entire Iron Skull City was in an uproar. Countless large guilds were gathering their forces, ready to march into the war ruins at any moment. Inside the Church of Light, Lorne looked speechlessly at the banner that floated in the air. He really did not expect that the Dragon of Light would activate such a huge event because of one of his missions. One had to know that the players in a secondary main city were at least 10 million. In a popular main city like Iron Skull City, there were more than 30 million players. However, the Dragon of Light casually opened a citywide event. As expected of the Dragon God of the Order faction. Lorne shook his head and smiled. But at that moment, he suddenly thought of something. Lorne opened the bag and took out a long feather. This was the feather he had obtained from the hands of the Demon Soul King in the Dark Forest. It was filled with question marks, and he did not know what use it had. It was a good opportunity to show it to the Dragon God. If it was something good, he might be able to gain some benefits. In the end, the moment the feather appeared, the eyes of the Light Dragon, Haymat, narrowed immediately. Heavens, what kind of feather was this that made the greatest dragon god in the Order faction lose its composure? Chapter 74, Angel's Wings. This feather. The huge golden dragon eyes stared in shock at the black blood-soaked feather in Lorne's hand. This strange reaction puzzled Lorne. Did this feather have a powerful background? Was this the feather of the dragon god? Lorne thought about it, then explained the origins of the feather. After hearing this, the Dragon of Light was dejected. I did not expect you to die in the dark forest. The Dragon of Light pulled the feather to its side, its huge golden eyes filled with sadness. The unprecedented battle began in Iron Skull City and continued all the way to Seaside City. There were many battles in the mountains, but each place was damaged to a certain extent. After 1,000 years of history, most of the mountains returned to their original appearance. Only a small number of them are still affected by the dark forces. The Dark Forest is an area affected by the war, but I did not expect that this place so close to Iron Skull City would be the place where Gabriel died. The Dragon of Light narrated sadly. The contents shocked Lorne, the listener. He would never have imagined that the feather he was holding had come from the Seraph Gabriel. In the background of the Divine Realm, the Dragon of Light had an extremely powerful angel army under its command, and 7 of them were the commanders of the army. Seraph Gabriel had been second among the 7 commanders. She was powerful and had a prominent identity. At one time, she was the most valued follower of the Dragon of Light. Unfortunately, she died in the Great War 1,000 years ago, and the blood-stained feather was buried in the dark forest. Young man, I'm glad you brought me this information. It gives me an answer to mourn. After all, she was once my proudest angel. Perhaps I should keep this feather, but since she chose to meet you, that might be fate between the two of you, so keep it. With that, a holy power beside the dragon of light enveloped this feather. He was dispelling the filth from the feathers. Soon, an extremely holy feather landed in front of Lorne. At the same time, a ball of holy power enveloped Lorne. He was brought into the air. The light feather that emitted holy power gradually condensed behind him. Finally, all the light condensed into a pair of holy wings. Ding! As you have brought back gratifying news for the Dragon of Light, affinity +10. Congratulations on obtaining Dragon Race of Order Reputation +100. Congratulations on obtaining Order Faction Reputation +10,000. Congratulations on obtaining Gabriel's Feather. Congratulations on obtaining the Dragon of Light's gift, Angel's Wings. A series of rewards appeared. Lorne also landed on the ground at this moment, and the angel wings formed of light feathers behind him gradually vanished. But he could not care less. The moment he landed, Lorne opened his equipment panel. The next second, his pupils constricted. A new equipment diagram appeared in his equipment interface. It was a pair of wings made of light. Unlike other ordinary equipment, there was light circulating on the pair of wings. Just from its appearance, one could clearly sense that this equipment was extraordinary. Equipment, Angel's Wings, Set, 1/10. Grade, Mythical, Fragment. Constitution, 2x level. Intelligence, 2x level. Strength, 2x level. Spirit, 2x level. Agility, 2x level. Additional effect, increases the user's casting range by 30%. Additional effect, increases the user's movement speed by 30%. Special effect, increases the user's critical strike effect by 100%. Special effect, additional active skill Angel's Descent. Special effect, Divine Power Awakening. Current Divine Power points, 20/20. Grows with level, Divine Power will automatically be refreshed every morning. Introduction, an angel's wings formed by the Dragon of Light using the power of faith. After it is released, you will temporarily have the amplification effect of the power of faith. Active skill, Angel's Descent. Status description, after activating this effect, the angel's wings will condense behind you, giving you the ability to fly in the air and the ability to conquer with the power of faith. Note, to maintain this effect, consume 1 point of divine power every second. Effect 1, under this effect, you will obtain flying ability. Flying speed is 300% of movement speed. Effect 2, under this effect, your attack damage is increased by 100%. Effect 3, under this effect, your attack range will be increased by 200%. Effect 4, under this effect, your critical strike effect will be increased by 300%. Effect 5, under this effect, you will be immune to 50% of the damage taken and immune to all ordinary negative magic effects, skills at and below grade B. You will be highly resistant to high-level negative magic effects, skills above grade B. Oh my goodness! By the time he finished looking at all the equipment effects, Lorne was completely stunned. This was a mythical grade equipment. Although it was in the fragment state, the equipment effect it showed was monstrous. Even without the effect of Angel's Descent, the amplification effect was extremely terrifying. All 5 attributes increased by 2 times level points. According to Lorne's current level of 20, each attribute increased by 40 points. There were a total of 5 attributes, which added up to 200 attribute points. One had to know that a top-notch silver grade equipment only increased by 15 to 30 points. This equipment was almost 10 times stronger than a silver grade equipment. Not only that, this equipment also had 2 super powerful additional effects. Increases casting range and movement speed by 30%. If an archer or mage had such attributes, no player would be his match. Furthermore, this equipment had even more special effects. Not to mention the divine power points, take the increase in strength brought about by Angel Descent as an example. After activating it, Lorne would obtain flying ability and increase his movement speed to 300%, as well as 100% attack damage, 200% attack range, and 300% critical strike effect. The critical strike effect and attack damage could be stacked. In other words, the critical damage that Lorne dealt in this state should be 1000%, equivalent to 10 times the damage. Moreover, after using Angel's Descent, Lorne was also immune to 50% of the damage and most negative effects. With this effect, basically no player could restrict Lorne. Even boss-level monsters could not restrict his movements with their skills. To be honest, even after so long, Lorne could not calm down. But at that moment, another grand system notification suddenly appeared. Chapter 75, Iron Skull City's Equipment Leaderboard. Ding! As you are equipped with the first mythical equipment in the entire server, the equipment ranking has been officially activated. Would you like to reveal the information about the equipment Angel's Wings? Equipment Leaderboard? It should not be good for him to expose it in the early stages, right? On the contrary, letting the enemy know about his strength would mean that he would likely be targeted. Thus, Lorne chose to disclose some of the attributes of the equipment. Since he was in the game, it was impossible for him to hide his intention to act cool. After all, Lorne was an ambitious young man. Which young man his age did not want to be famous? Then, in the hundreds of secondary cities in the entire Divine Realm, a scarlet banner appeared above the vision of the billions of players. There was a shocking message on it. Ding! Full server announcement: due to player tyrant triggering the equipment ranking system, special reward is given, plus 20,000 EXP, plus 2,000 reputation, plus 2 luck, plus 20 gold coins. Ding! Full server announcement: as Iron Skull City is the first secondary main city in the world to open up the equipment ranking, all players affiliated with this main city will receive a reward, free attribute point x1. Ding! Full server announcement: the main city's equipment ranking has officially begun. The system will conduct a data evaluation of all the players' equipment in each main city. The 10 best equipment in the city will be screened and the corresponding ranking reward will be given. The specific ranking can be checked on the relevant page. The 3 announcements were repeated 3 times. All the players in Iron Skull City cheered when they saw this. As the first main city to open the equipment ranking, everyone could obtain a small gift. Moreover, it also meant that the game progress in Iron Skull City was ahead of all main cities. At the same time, the public chat area of Iron Skull City suddenly became lively. Everyone's attention was attracted by the guild leader of the Domination Guild, Unparalleled Domination. Damn! Did I see wrongly? Why is this equipment ranking showing a mythical grade equipment? Mythical grade. These 2 words affected everyone's nerves. The next moment, everyone opened the rankings on the system interface. All the players who belonged to Iron Skull City could see the top 10 equipment with the highest ratings in the main city. First place, Angel's Wings, Mythical, Owner, Tyrant. Reward, damage plus 10%. Second place, Lightning Staff, Platinum, Owner, Thor. Reward, damage plus 9%. Third place, Dragon Blood Armor, Platinum, Owner, Fire Beacon. Reward, damage plus 8%. Fourth place, Flaming Bow, Gold, Owner, 100 Flowers Umbrella. Reward, damage plus 7%. Fifth place, Grand Plate Armor, Gold, Owner, Pot of Wine. Reward, damage plus 6%. Sixth place, Snowflower Ring, Gold, Owner, Twinkle Rose. Reward, damage plus 5%. Seventh place, Poisonous Armor, Gold, Owner, Crystal Rose. Reward, damage plus 4%. Eighth place, Sage's Wisdom Short Staff, Silver, Owner, Tyrant. Reward, damage plus 3%. Ninth place, Sage's Wisdom Robe, Silver, Owner, Tyrant. Reward, damage plus 2%. 10th place, Sage's Wisdom Shoulder Guard, Silver, Owner, Tyrant. Reward, damage plus 1%. After seeing this, all the solo players went wild. At the moment when everyone was still wearing bronze and white iron equipment, and only the elite players of the guild could barely accumulate a set of bronze equipment, those top-level players actually already had gold equipment. The second and third places had platinum-grade equipment. But that was not the most terrifying thing. The truly terrifying thing was the angel's wings that was ranked first. Why was its quality indicated as mythical? Damn, can this game still be fun now? What absolute fair world! It's all lies. This must be a bug. The server has only been open for a few days, but someone has already obtained a mythical grade equipment. What kind of game is this? I don't want to say anything, I want to quietly report it. Count me in. This game is really costly. I spent more than $1 million, but I can't even make it onto the leaderboard. $1 million is nothing. There's no silver grade equipment for sale on the market now. You can't buy it even if you want to. Good equipment can only be dropped by large guilds, but they don't lack money. Therefore, brothers, quickly join our guild. In the future, if you have equipment, it will be auctioned internally and there will be discount benefits. The chat channel was completely flooded. Those players with good family backgrounds thought that they had spent money to buy a lot of equipment and their combat strength would definitely be at the top of the game. However, after the leaderboard was released, they realized that the difference between them and the top players was actually so great. At that moment, they felt that the entire game was no longer fun. When the players started to check the attributes of the equipment on the leaderboard, they were completely subdued by the effects of the gold and platinum equipment. One had to know that even the attributes of a silver grade equipment were about twice that of a bronze grade equipment. Gold equipment was definitely even more incredible. Although they could not see all the data on the equipment, they could still imagine the shocking scene. After checking the other equipment, everyone's eyes focused on the first piece of equipment on the leaderboard. The protagonist was always the last to appear. They wondered if Tyrant would reveal the information about the equipment. After all, the last two platinum equipment showed absolutely no data. Other than the name of one equipment, no attributes could be seen. While everyone was guessing, the equipment interface opened. The next second, everyone's eyes widened. Equipment, Angel's Wings, Set. / Grade, Mythical. Constitution. Intelligence. Strength. Spirit. Agility. Additional effect, increases the user's casting range by 30%. Additional effect, increases the user's movement speed by 30%. Special effect. Special effect. Can be inspected. Special effect. Introduction. Gosh. This is a set. This is crazy. It's a mythical set. I must be dreaming. How can an equipment add so many attributes? It increases all 5 attributes, and then 2 additional effects, 3 special effects. Are you sure this equipment is suitable for appearing at this stage? As an archer, as long as I have those 2 additional effects, I can crush any player. Plus 30 casting distance, plus 30% movement speed. A mage would immediately be invincible. It's impossible for anyone to get within 10 yards of him. The first 2 additional attributes are already so powerful. The special effects later will definitely be even more terrifying. Hey, you can check this special effect. While the players were hysterical, someone discovered a special effect that could be chosen on the equipment interface. With anticipation, he quickly clicked on it. The next moment, his eyes, which had already widened to their limit, became even larger. His round eyeballs nearly left their sockets and rolled to the ground. Chapter 76, Competing for the Acquisition, over 100 million in price. Skill description. Effect, Effect? 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 Pfft. All the players who saw this panel almost spat out blood and died. What was up with this equipment? They had originally thought that adding 2 additional effects and 3 special effects was already very sick. In the end, it was just a facade. The true attributes of this equipment were 2 additional effects and 8 special effects. Instantly, the players were hysterical. At this moment, a loud shout sounded throughout the city. "Tyrant, my domination guild offers $100 million to purchase the mythical equipment in your hands. After this deal, the grudge between us will be written off." This sentence came from the domination guild's unparalleled domination. Unlike speaking in the chat channel, shouting in the entire city would be heard by all the players. Therefore, it cost a lot. Every time he shouted in the city, the player had to pay 100 gold coins. At this stage, these gold coins were equivalent to 500,000 Alliance dollars. When this post appeared, all the players in Iron Skull City indeed became excited. The high price that unparalleled domination offered made them feel like they were in a dream. That was $100 million. It was a huge amount of wealth that an ordinary person could not earn in 10 lifetimes. If he used this money to invest in stable enterprises separately, the annual dividend alone would be enough for him to live a rich life. However, not even a minute passed, when another shout sounded. "Tyrant, my Blazing Fire Guild is interested in buying your divine equipment. We offer 120 million Alliance dollars and can open a special channel for you to hold the shares of the Red Fruit Group. You can private chat about the exact amount. It's not a problem to negotiate online or offline." This shout came from the leader of the Blazing Fire Guild, Blazing Incineration. Behind every large guild was a large financial group that supported them. Behind the Blazing Fire Guild was the Red Fruit Group, a business empire with a market value of more than 20 billion. If one could hold a stake in the Red Fruit Group, even if it was very, very little, they could be guaranteed to be rich for the rest of their lives without any risk of bankruptcy. Therefore, the entire city was in an uproar again. Who would have thought that using 100 million to buy a piece of game equipment could actually fail? This was simply too crazy. Then, another heroic voice sounded. "Brother Tyrant, ignore them. It's too dangerous to trade with them. If you want to sell your equipment, you can discuss it with me. The price is definitely higher than theirs. I can also grant you the position of the Silver Snow Guild's vice president." Twinkle Rose also spoke. The moment her conditions were out, it immediately created an even bigger wave. Whether it was ordinary players or high-level players, they were all attracted by her final conditions. It was because there were rumors that all the members of the Silver Snow Guild were unmarried ladies of the rich circle. If he was lucky enough to enter and have a romantic relationship with a certain lady, at that time, not only would he have a super beautiful wife, but he could also rely on her relationship to change his family background. This was the most direct way to enter high society without working hard. But before the players could recover from their shock, a voice sounded again. "Everyone in Iron Skull City, listen up. Please do not have any intentions of buying my leader's equipment. If my leader wants to sell it, no matter how much you offer, I will pay you double the price. +1. Everyone in Iron Skull City, listen up, +2. Everyone in Iron Skull City, listen up, +3. Super Rich also paid to shout. When they heard the price he offered, all the players' brains were frozen solid. They had seen people who would always outbid the others during an auction. However, they had never heard of such a person who offered twice the price immediately. This was a transaction worth hundreds of millions. Double the amount meant that he had to pay at least an additional 100 million Alliance dollars. What did this mean? Thinking of this, all the players felt that their worldview had been dealt a devastating blow. However, this was not shocking. What was truly speechless was the shouts that echoed through the entire Iron Skull City did not stop. +5. Plus 10. Plus 15. Plus 20. I'm sorry, I'm tired of shouting. Everyone, please shut up. Thank you. After shouting for 20 times, Super Rich finally stopped. The reason why he stopped was because he was tired from shouting. When they heard the last part, all the players spat out a mouthful of blood. The cost of shouting in the entire city was 100 gold coins per time, but he shouted 20 times in one go. It was equivalent to spending 10 million alliance dollars to shout. What level of Tycoon was he to make such a shocking move? At this moment, all the players were curious about the identity of Super Rich and were also shocked by Tyrant's true identity. What kind of person was he to be recognized as a younger brother by the beautiful guild leader, and also a willful tycoon who casually threw $10 million as his lackey? The solo players were shocked. The guild leaders of the large guilds were silent. Between them, no one could compare to that willful tycoon in terms of wealth. On the other side, due to the departure of the Dragon of Light, Lorne also left the Church of Light. He ignored the echoing sound in the sky. At this moment, his mind was focused on his mission. There were 3 missions on him now. Hidden Mission, Protecting the Elves, completed. Epic Mission, Divine Radiance, 1. Event Mission, May the Dead Rest in Peace. The first mission was completed. But now Lorne had no idea where to turn it in. As for the next 2 missions, they were in the ruins of the war. Due to the mission, the relevant map had already appeared. The location of the ruins of the war could be clearly found on the system map. It would take about 2 to 3 days to reach the city. The entire war ruins covered a huge area. It was not ideal to explore the entire area. The Dragon of Light did not seem to have the intention to completely cleanse the area. It had set a time limit for this mission. There were only 10 days. Therefore, he had to hurry. However, before he set off, he remembered the warning from the Dragon of Light. The other players did not seem to know this news. Didn't that mean? Lorne's eyes lit up as he hurried out of the church. Chapter 77, Purification Crystal, Delayed Payment. Leader, are you really going to sell your equipment? You can't sell it, leader. This equipment is very important in the early stages of the game. You can use it to increase your strength. You can definitely earn more money in the future. Oh, I understand now. Leader, are you short of money now? It's okay, don't sell your equipment. I can lend you money. Suddenly receiving a private message from Lorne, Super Rich immediately replied several times. From his perspective, not long after he finished shouting, Tyrant sent him a message. Wasn't it obvious that he wanted to sell the equipment? Thinking of this, Super Rich quickly advised and emphasized the importance of equipment. Lorne shook his head and smiled. Super Rich's action was indeed very flashy, but he did not expect his taste to be quite good. Although 100 million was a lot of money, a divine equipment could greatly increase the strength of a player. It could allow one to constantly have a level advantage and allow them to obtain huge benefits in the game. It was just like the dungeon in the beginner village. On that day, he relied on his strength to earn 5 million in a day. There was no reason to sell this equipment now. Don't worry, I'm not looking for you to sell equipment. Lorne said, I was just asking you how many gold coins you still have. Gold coins? I spent most of them shouting just now. Lorne was speechless. He should have known. After all, shouting required 100 gold coins each time. Although Super Rich was rich in reality, the output of gold coins in the game was limited. It was already incredible that he could purchase 2,000 gold coins. Leader, what do you want the gold coins for? I know a few second-hand merchants who sell gold coins. We can buy some gold coins from them at a high price. Super Rich noticed something and asked. Lorne thought about it and said, I'll buy a batch for now, wait for me at the entrance of the church. Let's go somewhere. Good. Soon, the two of them left the Church of Light. Lorne led the confused super-rich into the Blacksmith Guild. Due to his high reputation in the Order faction, Lorne was treated very well. After a simple conversation, he was brought to the internal living room of the Blacksmith Guild by an NPC. Soon, a middle-aged man with strong muscles came to the living room. President Bars looked at Lorne and spoke in a rough tone, "Young adventurer, I heard you want to make a deal with us." "Of course." Lorne nodded. "Do you have a sample?" President Bars smiled and tossed over a crystal. It was a transparent crystal that emitted a crystalline light. It felt warm in his hand, as if he was bathing in holy light. Indeed. This was the purification crystal that the Dragon of Light had mentioned. Perhaps the Dragon God had deliberately helped Lorne, but it had not announced the news of the war ruins to the other players. Therefore, the players did not know that the poison in the ruins of the war would severely affect their condition. With the importance of reputation points to large guilds, they would definitely summon all players who met the requirements to enter that place. Other rogue players would also enter the ruins of the war for their own benefits. At that time, they would all face the problem of the poison. The purification crystal and the antidote were two items that could offset this effect, and they would immediately have huge market demand. "How many of these items are in the storage?" Lorne asked. "How many?" President Bars smiled, "There's quite a lot in the inventory. Other than the ones for sale, the guild has about 300,000 crystals in the warehouse. These purification crystals were originally for the army to clean up the polluted forest, but because such terrain is becoming smaller, they have been in a state of low sales. If you want them, I can give you a lower price." "Lower by how much?" 8 silver coins each. President Bars said, "I was going to sell it for 10 silver coins, but I'm giving you a 20% discount." "What if I want them all?" "All?" Bars could not help but stare at Lorne for a moment. Finally, he smiled and said, "If you want them all, I'll give you a 50% discount, 5 silver coins per piece." Lorne extended a finger as he said, "1 silver coin." Bars leaned forward, his eyes wide as he said, 4. Lorne was not afraid. At this moment, he extended a finger, 2. "I admire your courage, young man." Bars laughed and finally extended 3 fingers, "It's the lowest price." "Deal." Lorne accepted the price, then continued, "But I want to postpone the payment." "You mean delayed payment?" Bars thought he heard a new term. Lorne explained, 9,000 gold coins is a lot. I can't give you the whole sum for the time being, but I can sign a contract for postponement. From today onwards, if I do not pay for each postponement, I will pay you an additional 0.5% interest. How about it? Your plan is very good, but, young man, how do I know if you can repay this sum in the future? Bars smiled knowingly, as if waiting for Lorne to explain his confidence. Super Rich also looked at Lorne. Although he did not know what his leader wanted to do, as a tycoon who had built a business empire, he could sense the business opportunity here. Now that the negotiations had reached a critical juncture, what would the leader do to persuade the other party? 9,000 gold coins was not a small amount. While the two were curious, suddenly, a holy light suddenly blossomed. A pair of holy wings of light appeared behind Lorne, and an extremely holy aura filled the entire hall. This is... Bars blinked, thinking he had seen wrongly. What appeared in front of him was actually the strongest soldier of the Church of Light Angel. How was this possible? The weakest angel of the Church should be at the Earth Realm. How could a level 20 adventurer like him enter such a powerful army? Lorne put away his angel wings and asked the stunned Bars, "Will this assure you?" The latter suddenly realized something and laughed. "No problem. Since you are an adventurer valued by the Dragon God, I naturally believe in its judgment." After gaining trust, the rest was simple. The two quickly signed the contract. Then, Bars accompanied him to the warehouse to collect the goods. Chapter 78, Monopoly. Friend, all the purification crystals are here. Bars pushed open the door to a long, dusty warehouse filled with sparkling white crystals. The purification crystal was an individual tool and could not be stacked in the bag. Therefore, 300,000 purification crystals needed 300,000 slots to store in the bag. Wow, so many crystals! How many trips do we have to take? Super Rich muttered behind him. The current players only had 100 slots. In other words, they needed to go through 3,000 trips to bring all the crystals out of this place. Friend, where do you want to move these potions? As long as it's in the main city, I can get someone to help move them. Bars thought so too. After all, even an NPC like him had never seen a military bag that could carry so many resources. However, Lorne said nothing. He walked to the small crystal mountain and touched a purification crystal. The moment he touched it, a huge area of the brilliant crystal hill disappeared. Lorne continued to touch them, each time bringing away thousands of purification crystals. The crystal hill became shorter and shorter. In the dragon's treasure vault, the crystals gradually formed a small mountain. In less than a minute, the entire crystal hill disappeared from the warehouse. Seeing this magical scene, even Bars was stunned. However, he understood very well. After all, this was an adventurer who could obtain the favor of the dragon god at level 20. He definitely had a treasure given by the dragon god. At the side, Super Rich's eyes widened as he exclaimed, "Leader, you're too powerful. That's 300,000 items." When he had just entered the game, Super Rich would not have thought anything of it. However, as he came into contact with more and more people, he became increasingly aware of the rules of the game. 300,000 units of supplies was like a huge mountain to the players, but the leader lived up to his reputation. Even this could not stump him. This was really awesome. Friend, happy cooperation. Bars accompanied Lorne outside the guild. At this moment, other customers arrived at the guild. Bars waved and prepared to entertain the guests. But at this moment, Lorne stopped him. "Wait, President Bars. I have something to ask of you." Hearing this, Bars was confused. But after listening to Lorne's explanation, Bars immediately accepted it. "No problem, that's a small matter. It just so happens that I haven't seen that old guy, Doge, in a while." Bars laughed. Then, as the guide, he led Lorne and Super Rich to another huge building. What Lorne had entrusted him with was simple. Apart from the purification crystal, there was also something that could solve the problem they would face in the ruins of the war. That was the special antidote refined by the Alchemist Association. If Lorne wanted to sell them for a high price, he had to keep both items in his hands. Otherwise, the price of the purification crystal would not increase. Therefore, he had to make a trip to the Alchemist Association. The same thing would happen at the Blacksmith Guild, so Lorne brought Bars with him. With him as the middleman, the subsequent conversation would be even smoother. Acquire all of them? Delayed payment? It was the same reaction as Bars had. However, President Doge was clearly much better at business than Bars. He did not need Lorne's explanation to understand the meaning of the word. But now he wondered why Bars would be the go-between for this young adventurer. This did not seem like his style. As he wondered, Bears pulled him aside and whispered something in his ear. Then, it dawned on Doge. "So Mr. Tyrant has become a member of the Angel Corps. I'm sorry for my impoliteness." President Doge bowed respectfully, then began to chat with Lorne about the postponement. The subsequent negotiations were very successful. The agreement between Lorne and the Alchemist Association was quickly reached. It was different from the Blacksmith Guild. The Alchemist Association produced a special antidote that only gave 24 hours of protection. The purification crystal had 7 days of immunity. Therefore, the price of the antidote was even lower. It only cost 50 bronze coins each. Of course, this was also a friendly price. If he sold it to other players, it would cost at least 1 silver coin per serving. Before signing the contract, Lorne added another term, President Doge, I hope that I will also sell all the antidotes that are produced in the next 10 days. During this period, I will purchase all the potions at the price of 50 bronze coins. What do you think? That would be great. President Doge laughed loudly and said, if Mr. Lorne can really reserve all the production, I will even let most of the alchemists in the guild start refining such potions. That's great. That was what Lorne had been waiting for. With this treaty, the players of Iron Skull City could not avoid him. At that time, he could sell as many as he wanted. Speaking of which, he really had to thank the Dragon of Light. Without his warning and Angel's Wings, this contract would not have been possible. Then, Lorne left the Alchemist Association feeling satisfied. When he was signing the contract with the 2 high-level NPCs, Lorne had even obtained their affinity, which was a good harvest. After all, the 2 of them were important NPCs in Iron Skull City. In the future, there would definitely be more things that would intersect with them. At that time, the high affinity points would be useful. He returned to the streets. Super Rich could not help but ask, Leader, did you buy so many potions because there's poison in the ruins of the war? The words surprised Lorne. But soon, Lorne understood everything. Actually, it was normal to guess all of this. After all, the effect of the antidote was so obvious, it had to be used there. After purchasing hundreds of thousands of potions and crystals, it was obvious that he knew that the other players would definitely go somewhere. At this point, everything became clear. There was only one place that the players would go. It was the Ruins of War that was currently having an event mission. Yes. Lorne nodded. According to rumors, there is a special poison in the Ruins of the War. These things can be used. There were some things that did not need to be stated clearly, especially regarding business matters. Almost in the next second, Super Rich said, I see. But leader, shouldn't you be visiting various shops and collecting the rest of their stock too? Chapter 79, Meeting Elf Mira again. Super Rich was indeed a businessman. This kind of profiteer thinking of not giving others a chance and ensuring he earned the most money was engraved in his bones. But Lorne shook his head. Iron Skull City was not a beginner village. There were at least a few thousand shops here. Moreover, those shop owners were not as easy to deal with as bars. To them, only real money mattered. Got it. Super Rich immediately nodded, Leader, you just want most of the meat. However, if you want to deal with so many shops, it's too difficult to negotiate alone. You have to find enough people to work with. After some thought, Super Rich looked at Lorne and said, Leader, can you help me contact the beautiful lady from the Silver Snow Guild? With human resources and previous contact, plus the fact that Twinkle Rose and Lorne had many connections, the benefits of cooperating with her were definitely the greatest. In the eyes of Super Rich, earning the most gold coins in this cooperation was not the best decision. The best decision was to strengthen his relationship with the leader while earning money. All right. Lorne did not find it troublesome, for he understood the plan. In addition, in his mind, Twinkle Rose was indeed the best partner. After all, the other guilds did not have a good relationship with him. With that in mind, Lorne opened his friend list. He first greeted the big busted sister. Soon, Twinkle Rose replied. Little brother Tyrant, why have you suddenly contacted me? Do you want to go to the ruins of the war with the sisters of the Silver Snow Guild? Lorne asked, You haven't left yet, have you? Not yet. We're preparing to leave in a while. If little brother wants to come, you have to hurry. Twinkle Rose smiled. Forget it, I'm not free. Lorne said, I came to find you because of a piece of news. Before we leave, you'd better contact Super Rich. If you want to thank me in the future, ask me out in real life. Pfft, you're coveting my body, you pervert, Twinkle Rose replied with a trembling voice, then happily closed the chat. Then, she searched for a super rich. Since Tyrant had such a suggestion, there had to be a reason. Soon, Twinkle Rose and Super Rich made contact. From the other party, she knew about the situation in the ruins of the war. Without any hesitation, she immediately sent everyone to buy the antidote from the various shops in Iron Skull City. Although the number of antidotes in the shop was very small, there were many shops in Iron Skull City. There were hundreds of thousands of antidotes altogether. Lorne had no part in their operation. This was mainly because Super Rich had spent more than 10 million in the previous bid. Therefore, he did not mind the small amount of profit given to them. After talking to Super Rich, Lorne left alone. He wanted to go offline and rest. But just as he was about to go offline, Lorne suddenly saw a familiar figure. It was Mayra, the elf leader who had just separated. She seemed nervous. Lorne quickly stepped forward to understand the situation and obtain his mission reward. Seeing him come, the worried face forced a smile. "It's you, Mr. Tyrant," Mayra said absently. "What's wrong?" Lorne looked at her closely and wondered, "What happened? You look anxious." "This," Mayra hesitated. She wondered if she should tell this to the adventurer. But finally, remembering the friendship between Tyrant and the elves, she said, "All right, I'll tell you everything." Shaking off her concerns, Mayra sighed. Then, she began to narrate. "In fact, our elf team came to Iron Skull City to seek help. There were originally 130 people traveling together, but on the way, we encountered the Dark Army and were obstructed. In the end, the team was scattered. Fortunately, we encountered Mr. Tyrant, so we could reach Iron Skull City safely. As for the source, I need to talk about the attack on the elves' camp some time ago. A few days ago, the territory of the Night Elves was attacked. A group of fallen Night Elves, with the help of the demonized orcs, attacked the elves' territory. In the overnight battle, the Elven Princess Aisha with an ancient bloodline was attacked by the power of darkness. Those abominable dark monsters targeted Aisha from the beginning. By the time we realized it, it was already too late. The weapon that struck Aisha was specially refined. The moment it injured Aisha, an extremely powerful dark power spread through her body. The extent of its power was something that even the Queen was helpless against. Left with no choice, we can only seek help from Iron Skull City, Mayra explained. Lorne frowned in surprise. Are the dark forces so arrogant now? The Elven camp is also in the territory of Iron Skull City. How dare they attack on such a large scale? Lorne asked. Although the dark forces were very powerful, they should not dare to be so insolent in the territory of the Empire. How could a force like the elves be attacked? Wasn't this too bold? Iron Skull City's situation is much more complicated than you think. Mayra shook her head and sighed. The icy plains of calamity in the north is giving Iron Skull City a lot of pressure. Coupled with the fact that Iron Skull City's territory is very vast, it's not easy to clean up all the minions of the Dark Abyss in this vast area. I see. Lorne nodded and continued asking, has your princess arrived in Iron Skull City? She has arrived, but... Mayra bit her lip and wailed, I did not expect to be too late. The power of darkness has completely spread through the princess's body. Even the high priestess of the main city is unable to remove it. Even the dragon god can't do it. Lorne felt that the Dragon of Light was the most powerful and holy existence in the Order faction. It was definitely its specialty to repel the darkness. But to his surprise, Mayra still shook her head. I asked the church just now. The dragon god has a way to expel the darkness, but that dark power has already mixed with the ancient bloodline in Aisha's body. If we want to disperse the dark power, we will definitely destroy the ancient bloodline in her body. Chapter 80, Saving the Elven Princess? As the initial elf of the Night Elves who was born 200 years ago, Aisha is the last hope of the dying Night Elves. No matter what, there must not be a problem with her bloodline. Otherwise, our night elves will go completely extinct. Mayra wanted to cry, but she held it back and smiled bitterly. If possible, she was willing to suffer in Aisha's place. Unfortunately, there were no ifs in this world. Oh! Lorne pondered upon hearing this. At this moment, a very bold idea occurred to him. Since this elven princess Aisha was undoubtedly going to die, could he use her as the basic material to synthesize and then merge with other high-grade materials? After all, the other party was an elf. Furthermore, it was an elven princess with an ancient bloodline. Her aptitude was unprecedented. If he could merge this elf, the final pet would be very powerful. There was also a possibility that the elven princess might keep the ancient bloodline in her body. Didn't that mean that he would indirectly gain control of the night elves? Thinking of this, Lorne's eyes gradually lit up. He had even thought of the material to merge it with. First of all, he could use the very special crystal heart as one of the synthesized materials. Crystals represented purity and were the most suitable attribute for elves. Secondly, it was Gabriel's feather. This feather that had been evolved by the Dragon of Light had the ultimate light attribute. With its infusion, it could definitely defeat the dark power in the elven princess body. In this case, there was hope. Lorne gripped Mayra's shoulder and looked at her earnestly as he asked, "Do you trust me?" The absent-minded Mayra could not help but be stunned. In the end, she nodded and said, "Of course I trust you. Without you, Mr. Tyrant, I would have died in the dark forest long ago. In that case, bring me to see the elven princess." Lorne's eyes were filled with desire, as if he had great intentions. This made Mayra show a weird expression. If she did not know that he was a righteous warrior, she would have directly classified him as a rotten and hypocritical human noble. "I have a way to save her. Although I cannot guarantee absolute confidence, you already have no hope. Instead of waiting quietly for death, why don't you let me give it a try?" In order to satisfy his thoughts, Lorne advised firmly. Hearing this, Mayra hesitated. As Lorne had said, they were desperate. If she did not take action, within a few hours, the elven princess Aisha would lose her life because of the eruption of the dark power, and she might even degenerate into an evil dark elf. This was a result that no one wanted to see. Thinking of this, Mayra bit her lip as she made an extremely difficult decision. Finally, she nodded at Lorne, "All right, I'll take you there. However, Mr. Tyrant, the fate of the night elves rests on Princess Aisha. I beg of you, do your best." Ding! Game announcement: a hidden main storyline mission has been triggered, save the night elf Princess Aisha. Mission description: due to the scheme of the dark forces, the night elf Princess Aisha has been severely injured. The power of darkness is spreading in her body. You must disperse the power of darkness in her body without destroying the ancient bloodline. After completing the mission, you will receive a huge reward. Mission warning: if the night elf Princess Aisha dies in your hands, you will be hated by the night elves. A series of notifications appeared. Without any hesitation, Lorne took it and said to Mayra, "Don't worry, leave it to me." "Yes, Mr. Tyrant, follow me." After making this decision, Mayra was filled with confidence in Lorne. Without hesitation, she led him directly to the City Lord's area. In Iron Skull City, players could enter most areas, but the City Lord's area was not something that players could cross. If anyone dared to trespass there, he would be immediately invited by the city guards to the cell to receive punishment. But now, it was different. With Mayra leading the way, Lorne could enter. After all, Mayra was the captain of the Elven Princess Guards. The city guards would not stop her over such a small matter. Just like that, the two of them quickly passed through the City Lord's area. After passing through countless corridors, Lorne followed Mayra into a castle. This was the Temple of the Priests. All the prophecies of darkness in Iron Skull City came from here. As for the Night Elf Princess Aisha, she had been in the recovery magic circle set up by the High Priestess the entire time, using powerful life force to maintain her life. Leader Mayra. Is that Mr. Tyrant? Standing outside the hall, dozens of elves surrounded it anxiously. Many of the elves recognized Lorne. I want to go in and see the princess. Open the door. Yes. Mayra was the princess's personal guard leader. Now that the princess was severely injured, everyone treated her as their leader, so naturally, no one would stop her. Two elves pushed open the closed door and retreated to the side. Let's go, Mr. Tyrant. Mayra led the way. However, after the two of them entered the hall, the door closed again. At this moment, Lorne was stunned. The hall before him was completely different from what he had imagined. In the center of this hall, there was an ancient tree. The surrounding walls were filled with vines. They filled the entire interior space and covered all the windows, making the interior appear dark. But the scene before him was not terrifying. If one only stood there and watched, they would feel extremely quiet, as if they were in a forest at night. Mayra did not move forward. She stood at the entrance and looked at Lorne sadly. The princess is in that cradle. It's up to you now, Mr. Tyrant. Lorne nodded. Then he walked up the vine-covered steps alone. He walked up step by step. In the end, he arrived at the center of the largest tree 5 meters from the ground. In front of him was a cradle made of intertwined branches. In it lay a very petite elf girl. She had sharp ears and an exquisite appearance. Her skin was pale blue moonlight white, and her long silver hair shimmered. She was the Night Elf Princess, Aisha. Unfortunately, such a beautiful elven princess was currently being invaded by the power of darkness. After a while, she would completely die. With a gasp, Lorne checked her condition. He found her in a state of near death. Fortunately, she's not dead. To be a prototype material, she had to be alive. If this elven princess died, then she could only be used as a body part material. After the fusion, everything related to her would basically disappear. Come, let's hope nothing unexpected happens. Lorne took a deep breath and chose the elven princess as his prototype material.